Dear friends, welcome to the CoLeague Leadership Lab. In today's episode, we're diving into bold insights, daring experimentation, and groundbreaking leadership strategies that are reshaping the way organizations thrive. We'll explore the fascinating shift from rigid structures to flexible frameworks, where adaptability becomes the cornerstone of success in our ever-evolving world. Discover how embracing freedom can lead to new forms of order and propel your organization forward. Get ready for an energetic deep dive into reimagining organizational dynamics and unlocking your team's full potential. We're excited to dive into a fascinating topic that touches on what it really means to be organized, how that idea came about, and why it might be time to rethink our assumptions about organizations in a complex world. Today, we often use the term organic to describe something alive, something that grows and develops. We talk about living organisms, which are living beings, and we also use the word organ for the parts of a living being. However, that same root appears in organization, a term that refers to a group of people or a system designed to achieve specific goals. Most people assume the word organization evolved out of organ, but in fact, it happened the other way around. By the 17th century, the term organization was already in common usage well before organism came to describe living creatures. Back then, scientific thought viewed the human body as a neatly operating system that functioned according to certain clear rules and maintained balance to stay healthy. Illness was considered a disruption of that balance, and medicine was meant to restore it. To express this idea that the body works like a well-ordered system, 17th century scholars borrowed a word they felt best described it: organization. The notion was that both human bodies and social structures could be thought of as organized machines that needed to keep things in perfect order. As centuries passed, our understanding of living systems deepened. Science and medicine progressed dramatically. We realize the body is indeed organized in remarkable ways, but its mechanisms are far more intricate than early scientists imagined. At the same time, despite huge advances in the social sciences, like psychology and sociology, and enormous changes in human society, we've tended to hang on to an outdated view of organizations. It's as if we're still fixated on a single ideal of rigid order, ignoring that our era demands flexibility, adaptation, and a certain comfort with uncertainty. Organizations in the 21st century are incredibly complex and operate in an environment that's constantly shifting. There is certainly still room for structure, but there must also be a willingness to adapt. We at CoLeague believe that this is the true calling of leadership today: working with complexity and steering through it with wisdom and courage. It's not that we're advocating for anarchy or chaos. We're not against order. We're simply noting that the urge to impose strict control and predict everything can become counterproductive in a highly complex world. We see this over and over in our consulting work. For instance, we once advised a rapidly growing software firm that was so concerned with predictability that they attempted to script every aspect of their developers' work. The result was frustrated teams, delayed releases, and stagnating creativity. By recognizing that not every process could or should be micromanaged, they began to introduce more freedom and autonomy. Predictably enough, it initially felt chaotic to some managers. Still, the organization eventually settled into a new kind of order that emerged from employees' collaboration and innovation, rather than from top-down decrees. In another case, we worked with a biotech startup that was initially run by a handful of scientists who wanted to control nearly every lab procedure. They believed that a rigorous hierarchy would ensure quality and consistency. After months of stalled experiments and high staff turnover, they started letting teams self-organize around research priorities. Without losing sight of compliance requirements, they loosened the reins just enough to allow fresh ideas and adaptive thinking to flourish, leading to breakthroughs that would have been stifled under the old system. All of us crave a sense of certainty because it reduces anxiety in the face of complexity. Yet the truth is that both predictability and control can be illusions. They're psychological defense mechanisms that help us cope with a reality that's constantly changing. While these mechanisms protect us, they also come at a cost. One major cost is that we try to shape our organizations into neat, tidy structures that we can control from the top. But if we want our organizations to thrive, we need to give them space, plenty of it, because adaptability and freedom are vital in times of uncertainty. There's a common misconception that freedom and order don't mix. But in an organizational sense, liberty can create its own kind of order. It's just a different order, one we can't predict or control in advance. It will never emerge if those leading the organization cling too tightly to their comfort zones and the old notions of control. When we're stuck in the mindset of an organized organization, we limit ourselves to one vision of how things should be, a vision that's often confined to what's in our own heads. If we allow more openness, we may not know exactly how the organization will realign itself, but we might discover a much more successful path than we ever imagined. We've explored how the concept of organization predates organism, highlighting the need for modern organizations to balance structure with flexibility to foster creativity and progress. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for more updates. Dear friends,